Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome to Thursday's edition of Benzinga's pre-market info, brought to you by OptionsHouse. Jumpin' Joe, how you doing this morning?
I'm pretty good. How are you today, Joel?
Well, I got some good news and some bad news regarding the Michigan basketball game.
Please fire away.
What do you want first, the good news or the bad news?
Actually, I would like a real cup of coffee because I've been drinking instant all week because we don't have any real coffee here.
I
So
can't help you with that, so I guess I'll give you the good news first.
I see you got coffee in your Michigan travel mug over there.
Exactly. The good news is Michigan won.
Yay.
Yay. The bad news is, despite leaving my house at 4:45, okay, I did not make it to the game. I left my house at 4:45, usually a 45 to 50-minute drive.
Mm-hmm.
At 6:30, an hour and 45 minutes later, I wasn't even to the turnoff at M14 yet.
I mean, so 4:45 you said, right?
Yeah.
So I left the office a little bit at maybe like 5:20 yesterday. I don't even remember it really being snowy or anything like that. Was everyone just driving like an idiot, super
Yeah,
slow?
driving was like an idiot.
Did you have Lisa with you? Was she
Yeah, I
yelling at you the whole time?
Well, I mean, we might have made it. I tried to go back roads a couple times, and we just ended up in the middle of nowhere. So
Did you ever try taking Pontiac Trail all the way to Ann Arbor?
that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. And she's like, "You're crazy. You're crazy." So we ended up. But anyways, they won. I ended up coming home, going over to buddy's house, having a couple pops, and watching the game. So
So did you break the record for most hours spent in a car yesterday?
no, but I did set an all-time Joel Elconin record. I have now been snowed out of 2 Michigan events back to back. I have never been snowed out. I've been 50 years. I've been going to Michigan sporting events, and I've never gotten turned back for weather ever until the last 2 basketball games. So very disturbing trend here.
That's
But,
harsh. That's
let's
harsh,
get
man.
to the markets, Dennis. I have something wrong with my quotes here. I assume that we're down 5 1/4.
Yeah, we are down here again, but look at the high, Joel.
Oh my God.
1844. What is going on? It's like,
We just lost Dennis.
Dennis is
Dennis is in cyberspace here.
Dennis new.
Let's get him. Let's try and get him back really quick, okay?
Okay.
This is gonna be an on-air get back. That's kind of fun.
Anyways, what Dennis was talking about was the multiple highs that we've had here in the S&P 500 futures. In the last 6 trading sessions, actually, 6 trading sessions, we have made a high between 1843 1/4 and 1845.75. So someone definitely has an opinion here. We are already trading through yesterday's low, which was 1834.75, made an overnight low at 1828.75. So I guess you just have to figure that the top is in here until we can bust out above that 1846.50.
it's a hell of a consolidation period, I'll tell you that, because this 1840, 1843, I can't remember the last time I saw this many times, this many days up here, where it's topped at the same day. It seems like every day I walk in, it's like Groundhog Day. I walk in and bang, it's the high as 1843 or 1844 again. I mean, I guess you just got to sit out there and keep playing that level. And if you've been doing it and identifying it up till this point in time, it's worked well. Now that we've identified it's been this many times in a row, eventually here it's probably going to obviously not come into play anymore or break out. But I'd like to see it do something here. What's the low? If you take out, Joel, if you take out that whole anomaly where we went down all the way to 1809 and then rallied all the way back to 1837 the next day, remember Fari was saying you got to remove stuff like that because it's just an anomaly from the charts. What is the low for the year then?
17 1/4. 1817 1/4.
1817.
Yeah.
So that's the lower end. So basically, what you're telling me here is we're in like a 2% range really for the entire year so far. This
Right.
has been like tight.
And if you take the 17 1/4 all the way up to that 46.5, you probably split that in the middle. That's right where we're trading.
Well, the support's defined. The resistance is very, very, very well defined. So I guess that's your trading range, folks. Keep playing that. Gets up into the 40s. We seem to find sellers here. So, and it seems like every morning if we sell off, we rally all afternoon. So keep that in mind too. That's been the trend, and the trend is always your friend. Let's move on to gold here because gold actually is getting a lift here this morning. We are trading up $9 here, back at, where do you think we're back at? 12.50 here again. We're trading at 12.48.20 right now. Getting a lift obviously as the market's down a bit.
We did. We had multiple lows right around the 1235 area. We did slip there down there overnight. Went down to 1230.80. Probably wiped out some sell stops in that area. Now we're back up at the 1250. So for the last 6, 7, 8 trading days, we've been in a $30 range in gold. Similar to the S&Ps here, just waiting for a breakout. Gold likes to consolidate. I'd say above 1260 here. The bullion is back, and below 1230 here, we could go back and test the lows of the move under $1,200. But you know what's not consolidating, and that's the crude market.
That's been popping every day. It just keeps on coming back ever since we made that low just about a week and a half ago down in the 91 handle. It's been a slow, steady climb higher, and we were up again yesterday. We were up again this morning here, up another 35 cents, trading 97.07. So just quietly here, we had that really bad start to the year in crude when we went down to 100, down to that 91-ish, 91 and change
Yep.
low. But we've got 2/3 of the losses back here now, and we're back at 97 bucks.
Right. Took out yesterday's high here, which was 96.89, traded up to 97.11. Now, if you could tell by looking at the charts here, we had that really, really bad start to the year, and really, actually, a really bad couple days in a row where we went from over $100 a barrel all the way down to basically 93 and change in 4 or 5 trading sessions. That was a big move. You made that 91.38 low, and I'm just doing my trusty calculation here to figure out that was about a 10-point move, and now we're back over. I don't think do we get 2/3 of it back here?
I don't know. It's a rough
Yeah.
estimate. Looks pretty close to that.
Yeah, you know what?
91 and a half up to 97.
It's
So
like 90.
anything
I did do the exact calculation. It's right around 96 and a half. I think is a 50%. So that's what we're holding. Pretty healthy rebound here. Really no numbers up here until you get up to 99. But that might take a couple days to do it. But crude rebounding, but not really helping the oil stocks.
Well, not really, actually. If you look at ExxonMobil here, it just kind of is looking slowly, steady decline here for the entire year. We started the year up there about $100, popped up to 101, but then it's just been slow and steady. Not really very tight kind of the ranges, but it is drifting down.
I kind of thought this $98 level was going to hold. You had a couple low. You had a 98.04 low to start the week, and then a couple other lows back in the 98 area. But we have now broken below there. Now that area is going to act as resistance. Not a lot between 96 and 98, and we're not going to whoosh right down there. You have one low. In the issue at 97.01. So not a great area to be in here if you're long ExxonMobil. Kind of looks like a vacuum area down 90 to 96. That's, of course, if we get a market washout, but that never happens. So we'll have to use 98 as a resistance point. And let's go to its brethren here, Chevron Corporation.
118 is obviously the number there. It got down to 118 and a quarter on the 17th, and then it got down to 118.19 on the 16th of January. So 1 month later, making that low bounce directly off of it here. But then the last couple days, it's kind of consolidated here a little bit too, and topping out in the high 120s.
Yeah, that's kind of like pattern you don't like to see when it hits a number 118 and a quarter, then bounces out a new all-time high. Now it hit that same level, and we can't get back over 121 here. So, 118 will be coming into play here unless they can turn it and bust above 121. You got a nice number. Actually, you're going to open up into a nice area here. 2076 was the high yesterday, and 2089 the high on Tuesday. So if we're still can maintain this gain, even though with the SPOOs down, you got a chance to open up into resistance for Chevron Corporation. So Let's talk earnings.
Oh, earnings talk.
Is it earnings season?
It's definitely earnings season on the Benzinga News Desk. Let me start this earnings discussion with some breaking news.
Break in.
Break-in.
What do we got? What do we got?
We got McDonald's. It was out about, I don't know, 10 minutes ago or so. We are currently trading a little bit lower, down about 50 cents. They reported Q4 EPS $1.40, a little bit better than the street estimate, which was at $1.39. Sales coming in at $7.09 billion. That looks to be a little bit below the street. The street was at $7.11 billion, and they said Q4 same-store sales were down 0.1%. The street was looking for a gain of 0.5%.
And stock washed right on
Yep.
off the 8 o'clock number there when they reported just after 8 o'clock. The stock washed all the way down to 93.22. So they spanked it, but it is coming back here now and trading 94.60. So it's only down 25 cents here now after getting spanked over $1.50 on the initial report.
Let's take a look. I mean, that's a big spike and immediately recovered, so we'll have to keep that in mind. But looking just longer term here, man, it seems like Mickey D's just can't get too far away from 100. You did have the multiple lows right in the 94.60 to 94.80 area. We have taken that out in the pre-market. Come right back to it. So I'll use yesterday's low 94.69 as my swing number. You had to close right there in that area. It gets back above it, holds up here, then Mickey D's can rally back towards the 96 handle. If in fact we can hold that low in the close area off the open, you do have a low ahead of the pre-market low on December 13th, a low at 94.05. But man,
Do you see those October lows too, Joel? It's funny how in the pre-market and in the after hours trading off these earnings, they seem to always go to key levels. You had a low back, basically the low for the last 4 months on October 9th at 93.14.
Oh, yeah.
You had another one at like 93.5. Then you had another one at 93.24. And obviously the low just from 15 minutes ago here or 10 minutes ago, 93.22. So sometimes when you're setting orders out there, it can actually work in your favor and it doesn't always work because sometimes it can blow right through you. But if you get a little feel for the numbers and you think it's a little bit overdone, if it's coming to a key level, sometimes it can reverse off those key levels. It's exactly what McDonald's did 10 minutes ago.
And especially in those kind of situations, we talk about this a lot. I mean, if you have a short on and that's your target on the short side, hey, go ahead and take it off, right? You never know what's going to happen. As opposed to initiating a long or something like that, you have to use it with discretion. Like if you
That's it. It's a tool. Exactly.
It's a tool. It's a tool. But let's talk about the big daddy, the big earnings,
Cool.
blowing away Wall Street.
Netflix. Wow. That's all I have to say is wow. 79 cents versus 65 cents. 1.18 billion versus 1.17 billion, but lots of details in here. Brent, you got the Netflix report there in front of you. Can you dive into some of these details here? Obviously a beat on the top, a beat on the bottom, but what else are they saying over there?
Let me see. Pulling this up on the handy dandy Benzinga Pro feed. Maybe you're looking for some comments from. Well, you're probably looking for maybe like some subscriber numbers.
That would be good.
We need something to explain this.
Give me a reason.
All right,
we're up
so
56
we got
points today.
right.
I know that earnings were decent, but holy cow! I bet you those subscriber numbers must have been pretty wicked too.
We had
Really
let's
good.
see, net additions domestically 2.33 million, international net additions 1.6 million. That was a huge number right there actually. And then they gave a bit of guidance, expecting Q1 EPS around 78 cents, and the street is right around 77 cents. They said expecting Q1 domestic net additions at the midpoint to be around 2.25 million, the international additions at the midpoint to be around 1.6 million. And remember, Netflix is giving point guidance. They referred to it as, where they're saying around 78 cents, not a range of 76 to 79 cents. I think the street might have been liking that point guidance a little bit more. Let me look through some of the comments I got from the call real quick.
Point guidance?
That's what they termed it. It's a means to increase transparency.
Okay.
You get that?
Well, I think what's interesting about this chart. No, I don't understand anything of what you just said.
All we have to do is understand the pricing.
Yeah, here we go.
It's good news.
Yeah, it's good news. Look at this pre-market chart, though. Last night we hit 394. and
Yeah.
390, 380, 394, 394. And then we've sold off. The lowest point we sold off to 394 is 387 here. Someone has an opinion at 394. I mean, that's the only thing. Someone says I'm selling all my stock at 394. I'm not letting it go through 394. It's probably the same person that's not letting the S&Ps go through 1846.50. I mean, they're saying I'll sell all the stock that I have there, and that's kept the lid on it. I'd use that as a target on the long side if we get back above there. And then on the downside, if we break below 387, it's really the only number you can give me on the downside. I don't know where the heck this thing's going to go if it breaks down below 387.
Remember that story? And I don't know if you remember it or not. That guy at Bray Trading years ago, and he decided he wasn't going to allow the stock to go down anymore. And I don't remember the stock, but do you remember it, Joel? Where he basically sat on the buy button. It was like a $200 stock, and it had fallen 100 points or something.
Bill.
And he decided he's not going to allow it to go through 110.
This
and
was
he just
like
kept buying the stock. Yeah.
This
he
was
just
like a
sat bit
protest.
there.
He
This
was
is
like a
Bray
sit-in.
Trader. Pardon me, Brad?
This is like a protest, like a sit-in. He's like, I'm not allowing this anymore.
I'm not allowing it. He just kept buying the stock. He's like, I'm not going to allow it to go any lower here. He was angry. He was down big in the stock. And he's like, I'm not allowing this to go any lower. I'm going to buy every share that basically tries
I don't
to trade
know.
through 110.
That
And he
doesn't
sat
work,
there
does
on
it?
the buy button, just holding it down and basically, just refreshing it at 110 and bought so much stock that Bob Braid had to come in, shut him down, take over this huge position because he had millions of dollars worth of stock with like a $200,000 account or something. It happened all so fast. He was way over, some murder or safety for the company and everything. Obviously, trading firm capital. So Bob came in there, and then, do you remember that story, Joel?
Yeah, it was Bill. The guy's name was Bill.
Bill, and what stock? Do you remember what stock it was?
I don't know. That you're really jogging my memory there, but
That's like we're going back to like 2000.
Yeah,
I think.
he was just he was sitting right next to me, and I'm like, hey,
Was that an office? That was in our office?
Yeah, that was a guy. Yeah, that was the guy.
I didn't know it was in our office. I thought it was just in the company. This was in the Detroit office.
There's probably happened in my office too, and I remember,
on top of that, weren't you the train supervisor?
I was, but I'm like, take your finger off the buy button there, and then he's like, no, this stock shouldn't be going any lower than 110. And I said, well, then the phone rang, and I knew who it was, and it's like, Joel, what's going on?
Shut that guy down.
What's going on with Bill? And I remember they shut him down, and I remember the stock. Bob held it for a day. And the thing popped, and they ended up making a bunch of money on the position. And the guy tried to sue Bright for the money because they shut him down, and they tried to take him on the profit. And I can remember. That's funny, those stories. Now they would just get automatically shut down. But Joanne, we're talking about the Netflix here. She has a question here, and she bought 1-360 strike call to see what would happen. So I just sell the call or acquire the stock. Which is a better deal here? What would you say, Dennis, if you got...
I'll tell you what I do sometimes here, and it all depends on what the premium, like how much premium is in it. But if it's close, if the call opens, which the options don't open until 9:30, but if they do open at 9:30, and let's say Netflix is trading at 390 and the call is only at like 392, or it's only at like $32 because that would be the intrinsic value. If it's already at 30, sometimes an interesting play that I do is I actually short the stock against the call, because what you do then is you actually lock in the profits. So if you shorted the stock even in the pre-market here, like 388 right now, you'd be locking in a 28-point gain. Plus, you'd be able to participate if, for whatever reason, Netflix pulled, like it did last quarter when it opened up at 390 and fell to 330, you would participate on everything below 360 further. So that's a little different way to play it if you wanted to just lock in the gain and then have participation if it gave it all back. You can outright sell the call if it's giving you like a solid premium. And I don't know what strike you bought there.
Yeah, I just asked her about that. I mean, she probably paid up some premium, and now it's 30 points in the money. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how cute I would get with that, Dennis. I mean, that's a pretty big pop here. I mean, I know the Google.
It's a night, and it's in resistance area too. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would let it. I would let it shake out here. You don't have to hop in right off the open or whatever. But just what's the form? Let me give her a good number here. All right, they're blowing away the former all-time high of Wow.
They were blowing it away.
Yeah, they are
They're below
blowing it.
it
No,
now.
the former all-time high was 383.96.
389.16, Joel. Come
380,
on.
wait, 389.16?
October 389.16. That was right on earnings day last time, remember?
Oh,
October
I'm, oh,
22nd,
I'm
earnings
not,
day
yeah,
last time, Netflix
okay.
389.16.
And it spiked up there. Okay, I was looking at the wrong chart here. So it spiked up, and it really, remember what happened on that day?
Gave it all back.
It gave it all back. So I don't know
Yeah.
if that's
I
going
don't
to.
know if that's going to happen again here because these numbers look pretty solid, but that always can happen. It can happen. And that's the scary thing when you're sitting on a huge gain and all of a sudden you watch it go away. Like I'm sure if you had this play on last October 22nd and all of a sudden it's down on you, you'd be like, wow, why didn't I lock in some of that gain? So that's why I was saying it's an interesting play sometimes to short the stock against it, especially if you only got a few days if you're playing the weeklies or something like that. I mean, you do have that potential if it did pull it like it did last earnings. I don't think it's going to, but if it's always possible. Everything is possible in this market. We've seen that before. If you short the stock, you lock in a 28-point gain, and then you're already it's 360. If it just stays up here, you'll end up obviously selling the stock at or rebuying your short at 360, and it's a done trade. But
She paid
so that's one way to play it.
463 for it. That thing, I'm not sure if it's a weekly or whatever. It should open up about $30, right?
Oh
So
yeah, it should be if it's a
yeah,
weekly, it should definitely be worth about $30.
yeah, or whatever. If you went farther out, I mean, I don't know how many times you're gonna get. Oh, she's got the weekly too, so they're gonna. If this thing doesn't continue to rally and hold, that they're just gonna suck. I mean, you're just gonna watch your profits suck
There is
away.
going to be no time premium really in that.
Yeah.
I'd almost, and this is, we don't give recommendations on the show here, but if I had that position, I'd probably sell the stock against it. That's what I would probably do. You obviously need some margin in your account to do that. You got to sell 100 shares of it. You need the 38, what is that, 38 grand? So
Right, right.
to be able to short the stock against. Otherwise, you can just, and sometimes it's easier because the option premiums move around so much. Sometimes they're more illiquid than the stock itself, and Netflix will be pretty liquid. I mean, but it's just an easier way sometimes just to short the stock against and just hold it till expiration. But I know I've done that before on some trades where I had this QTWW. Can you bring this one up, Joel? I'll just give an example. And I had the 5 calls on this thing, and this was like a lottery ticket thing. So bring up QTWW
Oh,
from October.
heavily traded issue.
Heavily traded issue. It's a little biotech company. I actually have calls on this again for full disclosure, but I've been playing this one alongside for like the last 3 months. But anyways, I had the 5 calls on this that I had bought when the stock was like at $4. It went up to 750 on me, and I actually shorted the stock on the way up against my calls at 690. Well, then the stock just dies and goes from 750 down to like 425, and I actually cover the stock at 430, so then I can participate in the call again. So it was a whole way to play it because I actually worked out really well for me. If you see that big move down, if you see it from October, you got to go back to October to see it, but there's a big
Yeah.
down spike
Yep.
there.
Yep.
And so I was able to actually lock in the gains, and then I cover the stock against my call, and then my calls are wide open again, and then the stock popped up again. I was actually able to sell the stock again against it. So there's different ways to play. I just did that with Target last week too. Remember, I bought the stock against the puts. I like doing it that way, but there's if you don't want to bother with all that, you can flat out obviously just sell and take your 28-point gain just selling the call. But it's a different way to play it. You do have a little bit more options here, but I don't think it's going to give it back this time. I mean, they did it last time. I don't think it's
Right.
going to do
I
it
don't
again
think
this
so
time.
either.
So
But another thing that keep in mind too, Joanne. I mean, you paid 463, so you paid obviously the thing closed at 333, so you paid a lot of premium, to take it. And if you go, we've talked about risk reward ratios. Let's say you were willing to lose, the entire premium, looking for a
$5.
double.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're willing to lose the $500. Double your profit. At $10. That's $1,000, and now they're giving you 2,800 to 3 grand
5 times
for
the
it.
money. It's a pretty
Yeah,
good
I mean,
trade.
yeah, that's a pretty good trade. I mean, it's something that you don't want to see this thing back down at 360 today. I mean, and who knows where the heck this can go? But
And it could take off and go above 400. It really can take anything off the bat. You'll get a real feel for it here. But all we can tell you is that it is opening into a little bit of resistance here. And I'm sure there's a few people sitting there looking at what happened last earnings report and saying, I don't want that to happen to me again. So I wouldn't be surprised if it did show a little bit of profit taking at least off the bat, as the people that are sitting on big gains like you, Joanne, might want to lock in some of those because we're up 17% here. This is pretty big move for Netflix. Even though may have more gas in it. I don't know. I would not be buying this thing up $57. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
yeah, definitely. Would not be buying here. Okay. Uh,
eBay also reported, and this one has been a wild child after the bell. This thing reported earnings 81 cents versus 63 cents and 4.5 billion versus 3.9 billion. So they blew the numbers away. Icon sniffing around in there. He's proposing a PayPal spinoff that he's bought some shares and he's trying to say that those guys should spin off PayPal. On all that news breaking, this stock popped up to 61.21. So and now it's trading back down to 55.55. So you have had just the craziest range here in eBay. Brent, if you dive into the details though, right after, I don't know if you have them all there. During the conference call, they were coming out and saying these are the 3 reasons why we're not going to spin off PayPal. And then the stocks started selling back off. So I think they like the idea of spinning off the PayPal even more than the earnings. And now that their company came out during the conference call and is saying, well, we're probably not spinning off PayPal, at least right now, and these are the reasons why we're not going to do it. Then they start selling the stock back off. So now it's back here at $55. So,
okay.
but look at that wild range
Yeah,
after
let's
hours.
just take a look at that. Look at the low. The low in the issue was 52.41. And that when the news broke, and then it went up to 61.21. Now here we are just consolidating here at the $55 level. Let's look at it in the context of the dailies here, and you still have to respect that recent high that had over the $55 level. We had an all-time high at 55.32, so we'll keep an eye on that. We are trading above it, so use that as a swing number. I think if it drops below 55.32, there's some room on the downside here. You need to get down to fill the gap from yesterday's trade. You need to get down to 54.51, but this is a scenario where you are trading above. It is the all-time high, I believe. Yeah, you're trading above the all-time
It
high.
was, yeah.
Yep, look for it to hold, and back below that, then you do have some air on the downside.
And let's move into FFIV first of all. F5 Networks, they reported good numbers too. $1.22 versus $1.19. The revenue was great, 406.5 million versus 396 million. They're also adding to they're adding 500 million to their buyback program as well. So FFIV is trading up here 10 points in the pre-market. This stock is now making new highs here too. Not all-time highs, because if we go back just to April of 2012, we were trading quite a bit higher here. But the stock is back up over 100 for the first time since the beginning of 2013. So basically the first time in a year we're triple digits on F5 again.
The initial spike took it to 109.94. So if you want to use that as a parameter in your trading, keep an eye on that. As Dennis mentioned here, the stock has not been up in this area for quite a while here. Let's take a look. You have to go back, until, what's that, in March? No, in February, the stock got up to 107.99. That's currently where we're trading here. So pretty big windfall. If it can hold us 108, look for it to go back and challenge the pre-market high 109.94. I mean, you also had some highs at 110 and change here going back. Or actually, 111.58 was a high back in September of 2012. So getting a lot back here in a jiffy. So let's just keep an eye 110 to 112 area.
I'm going to fly through just a few of these earnings report because we're running short here. We're actually going to bring our guest on a little bit earlier today. He's going to come on at 8:30, Matthew Porzio from IntraLinks. So he's coming on in 2 minutes. I'm just going to fly through a couple of the earnings. Then we're going to have our interview with Matthew, and then we'll come back. We'll finish up the rest of the earnings and do the ratings. So, but you did have Lockheed Martin reported. They actually were decent, but it's trading. Well, actually, it is trading higher here now. It's kind of some adjustments in here. On adjusted earnings, I had 261, but then another place 238. So either way, they look like they kind of did beat here, and the stock is trading up a couple of bucks. Yet KeyBank, which is KEY, they also reported earnings too, just slightly beat 25 cents versus 24 cents, 1.04 billion versus 1.03 billion. It's trading slightly down. The airlines are doing pretty well here this morning. You had Southwest Airlines report 33 cents versus 29 cents. cents, 4.43 billion versus 4.39 billion. That stock's trading up 50 cents here in the pre-market LUV. You also had UAL report earnings here this morning, and here's an interesting one because they actually look like they beat 78 cents versus 65 cents, but the stock is trading down on this report. It really ran into the earnings. So I mean, UAL has been straight up here basically for this entire year. It's been straight up. Chart's ridiculous almost when you look at it. 49.18 it got up to, closing near the highs. It's pulling back 60 cents here, so maybe they didn't beat by enough. So lots of others. SanDisk also reported, SNDK, $1.71 versus $1.57. So, but it's actually trading down just slightly here in the pre-market as well. So lots of different reports here, and we will dive into some of the details on the technicals there in a few minutes, but we're going to have to go to our guest here in just a minute.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, traders and investors. We have Matt Porzio, Vice President of Strategy and Product Marketing at IntraLinks. He's taking a few minutes out of his busy schedule here to discuss the deal flow indicator. Matt, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
All right, so we had you on the show a little, I don't know, a month or 2 months ago or so, and could you just briefly describe the deal flow indicator for our listening audience?
Yeah, sure. The IntraLinks deal flow indicator is essentially a predictor of M&A announced deal activity 6 months earlier. So we're tracking deals as they move into the due diligence stage, typically looking to use our products, right? And so we've got this early view of deals. About a third of the market of deals above $25 million we're aware of, and that's before they're going to be publicly announced, typically 6 months. So it's a nice view, and we've actually done the correlation to both Thomson Reuters and Merger Market, announced deal activity, and we are indeed a 6 month predictor of the M&A market.
What kind of variables go into this deal flow indicator? How are you able to predict basically, or obviously, what kind of factors are you looking at to make these predictions off of this deal?
Yeah, I mean, it's really based on the number of deals, right? So, we get contacted by corporate development offices, lawyers, investment bankers all around the globe who are moving deals from, essentially going out to market and moving them into, the next phase of the deal where it becomes more serious, where the real tire kicking begins. And we just measure those number of deals by industry, by region, and we look at those deals and we compare, the trends in that deal making, right? How many deals, versus the previous quarter versus the previous year, and we've just got that broad view. We're talking a sample set of thousands of deals here.
Okay, so in the fourth quarter of this year, versus the fourth quarter of the previous year, there was a 17% gain. What were some of the factors behind that, and do you see this trend continuing in 2014?
Yeah, and I think if we look at the 17% gain year over year for Q4, but even just the 15% year over year gain from 2012 for 2013, it's the typical factors that I think many of us have been talking about in the M&A market for a while, right? The improved economic stability, although we did have our hiccups throughout the year in the U.S., but the general market uplift, the strong balance sheets for those corporate acquirers, a really good rate environment. Although we'll talk a little bit about how lending might be stretched as this trend continues. A tame IPO market, nothing really happening there. And then when you look at private equity with all the dry powder they've got and the need to exit, those old vintage portfolio companies, all that combined, was around for a while. And then we started to see the valuation gap narrow, the sellers and buyers being more reasonable in the process and willing to get stuff done.
Now, do you see that continuing to happen next year here? Like, do you think we're going to get some more deals than we had? Because we look back like a few years ago, we hardly getting any deals at all. Now it's starting to pick up. In the Q4, we've had a few deals here. Do you see more deals happening here in the future? Like that activity picking up?
Yeah, there's a few trends as to why I think that momentum is going to continue, right? If you look at it, the acquirers, the public acquirers have essentially been rewarded in their stock prices moving up when they're announcing deals, right? So that positivity drives more buyers into the market. And, people know if you're the last guy to the party, you're probably not going to get the same reward or the same pop, right? And so if that continues, the trend that we've seen and I've seen in, my 15 years in the industry has been deals beget more deals, right? The activity increases, and, what we're sort of pre-telling the market in this predictor is that you're going to start to see even more announced deals through Q1 into Q2, and that's just going to build the momentum, right? When people see those announced deals, the acquirers get, some premiums, in their stock price because they're expanding their business and growing inorganically. That's just going to continue to bring more people to the table. I think the fact that the indices and all the stock markets have been, up relatively and are strong, just makes, the premiums are already built in, and I think, sellers look at this as the time to also monetize.
Why is it different?
I don't see any reason why that's going to change. Yep.
Why is it different? Like you were saying, that's very interesting. The acquirer and the acquiree are both going up. Like years ago when I used to look at the deals, there would always be the acquirer would go down because they were paying a premium for the price, and then the stock getting acquired would pop. But now, like you said, we see so many times where both stocks trade higher. Are the synergies just better, or is the market just hotter? Like, why is it that the acquirer goes up as well as the stock that's getting acquired?
Well, I think also people are a little more thoughtful in the deals that they're doing, right? And these deals, have a real strategic bent to them. And I think, both the acquirer can sell it to their board to get it done quickly, and it's got, it's a meaningful deal. And I think the sellers, when they're coming to market now, there's already that built-in premium. They're no longer asking for, 20% on top. That's kind of built into the stock price, and I think the offers from the buy side are coming in, relative to that. So I just think, it's sort of, a banker's dream. You've got everybody kind of meeting in the middle, willing to do it, and both sides getting rewarded accordingly.
Okay, speaking of the banks here, really to have a really strong merger and acquisition market and environment, you need the banks, in a capital position to do that. And with the changes going on with Dodd-Frank and going on in our banking system, are the U.S. banks in particular, are they in the position now to support the merger and acquisition recovery?
Yeah, it's a good question. As activity continues to increase and we build on this momentum, I think it's going to be a little difficult for certain deals to get the funding and certain organizations to do that. And, if we look at it on a global basis, just, what we've seen with the implementation of, all the banking regulations, Basel III, our own Dodd-Frank, and I just think there's generally a feeling at a lot of these banks that they've got to create stability with their balance sheets. And so, I think people are going to be strapped, although, every time you think that the banks don't have the ability, somebody else comes, and the mezzanine market and other places and other lenders, non-traditional lenders, tend to step in and fill that gap. But I do think that the major banks and the typical sources of financing are a little stretched, because the rates are so low that it's hard for these guys to exceed their cost of capital and their profitability. Plus, they're squeezed by these regulations and keeping their balance sheets and their leverage ratios tight.
Where do you see this M&A activity? Where do you think it's going to pick up here in 2014? Like, what sectors do you think are going to start getting hot for this?
Yeah, if we look at our Q4 deal flow indicator data, life sciences was a sector that, essentially exploded for 63% growth year over year. And that's a good volume of deals we're talking about as well. And I, based on the conversations I've had with our client base, there's no reason that momentum is going to slow at all. And I think that's one of those markets where the valuation gap is narrowed. People are being really reasonable. It's all about, the sellers who recognize they can't go it alone anymore, and want to be part of a bigger story. And then you've got, the buyers who just, that's how they're going to grow their business. It's almost all in organic growth to do global expansion and also product expansion. Another area, real estate, which had been really quiet a year ago, almost non-existent, came alive, and we saw 82% year-over-year growth in that industry in Q4, which is a good sign. And, we're talking to a lot of, large REIT clients who are both looking to get rid of, non-core portfolio assets, but also, some of the smaller REITs out there are looking for consolidation opportunities. So I think those are two, industries where the trend will continue. And I wouldn't be surprised in financial services. We saw a little increase of 10% in Q4, but we're hearing a lot more about consolidation, the broker-dealer world, and just even for the regional banks.
Okay, and now just going in, a lot of the deals in the fourth quarter were domestic in nature. Do you see, companies getting more aggressive and doing cross-border deals? Along those lines, you had a Japanese company taking over Jim Beam. Do you see that, the deals being more done across the borders? And just to follow up on that, is the beverage sector going to continue to offer some potential merger and acquisitions?
Yeah, to your point about, we definitely saw an influx of, domestic deals. And one of the reasons there is the due diligence process is becoming, increasingly, more challenging in the sense that, people have to dig in deeper. You've got to do more work. So, not having to go across borders and understand the cultural differences, maybe knowing your potential target a little better, was the reason that domestic activity increased. I think, we saw that, mainly in North America, and we saw a big uptick, in Q4 in North America. And then what I think we usually see is after those North American domestic deals get done, people look, sort of beyond our borders. And, definitely from the client base that I talk to, North American acquirers are going to look abroad. And it's interesting you bring up, the Jim Beam deal. Will there be an increase in Japanese acquirers, for U.S. brands? I think, listen, each deal has its own, motivations and merits, and certainly brand expansion, cross-selling, that the Jim Beam deal highlights is a great example of that.
Did you have that one on your? Did you have that one in your deal flow indicator, or did that one kind of catch you by surprise?
Specifically in the deal flow indicator, we did not reference that. We don't talk about specific clients just for confidentiality reasons.
Okay.
But what's interesting about the deal is I do hear generally that a lot of the U.S. brands, whether it be consumer products or the beverage sector, are interesting. I do think that people will find them pretty expensive, and I think if you look at the valuation on that deal and you look generally at the size and scope of that's pretty unique and probably not a sustainable trend.
Now, do you think private equity is going to continue to be picking up a lot here too? Because we've seen a lot of private equity deals here. Do you think that trend continues in 2014?
Absolutely. I don't think there's really a choice in the matter. We saw the private equity, sellers, or portfolio company sales increase throughout 2013. A lot of that was secondary market, right? Trading off assets and one private equity firm coming stepping in for another. I think that's gone on for quite some time, and I think all the opportunity has been taken out of that. And what you're going to find is those private equity portfolio companies, of the old vintage, right? Still, those '07, '08 ones, early '08 ones sitting out there. They're going to come to market, and I think there's definitely strategic buyers, and we're seeing that strategic buyers are willing to come to the table and not sit on the sidelines anymore and scoop up some of these private equity portfolio companies. Because these guys have to start showing cash returns. And to get the best returns, you're going to get strategic buyers to the table, not just give it to another private equity firm.
Okay, so you've had this uptick in merger and acquisition activity at the end of the year and in 2013. What could send things in the other direction and curtail the M&A activity? Would it be a change in interest rates? Ha ha, that's never going to happen. And or a market meltdown. What do you see? What could curtail the activity?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think, it's always a question, does M&A activity, precede sort of economic, uptick or vice versa? I think, listen, if you've got multiple quarters of some negative market economic data, coupled with, if we start to see a weak earnings environment, I think you'll start to see a little bit of a slowdown. I think the other thing that can affect the sort of mentality and momentum of the deal market is if we've got some marquee deals that start to come to market and be publicly announced that don't close,
Okay.
and you start to also have some regulatory issues around the deal market, that can have an effect. I don't think there's a major effect, that's going to happen or major catastrophe related to the M&A market. I would say, I'm not betting against it. But again, we look at the number of deals. We don't necessarily look at the value. So I think the deal activity and number of deals will continue to increase and build momentum. Maybe the big, $10 billion plus mega deals just, may slow if the economic data doesn't come strong.
Okay, we've had Matthew Porzio, Vice President of Strategy and Product Marketing at IntraLinks, discussing his deal flow indicator and what happened in the past year for the M&A and what he's predicting or what he sees in the markets. Matt, I know you got a real busy schedule. Thank you for taking the time out, and we'll keep an eye on what you said, and hope to have you again on the show real soon.
Great. Look forward. Thanks for having me on.
Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay, so that was Matt Porzio. Wow, Dennis, I mean, I feel smart when we have all these smart people on talking about this stuff, don't you?
Yeah, that guy knew some stuff for sure. I mean, we look and the M&A activity has been picking up. It slowly has. I mean, it was dead. If we go back to like 2008, 2009 after the financial crisis, 2010, there was no M&A activity. Because remember, even back, like you go back into like the last economic, when we were really flying up in 2003, 2004, 2005, there was deals like, it was like Merger Monday. Remember we had Merger Monday and everything? And if you compare it to that, the M&A activity is still pretty low. But I wonder if, if the markets continue to do well, and like he says, that the acquirer gets a premium, the acquiree gets a premium. If we're going to start seeing like Merger Monday again, where you got 3-4 mergers announced every Monday. Remember those days?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you had people were holding their during the financial crisis. Money was money
there
was
was just no
tight. There
money
was no
for
money,
it.
and that's why I wanted to bring that question in about the banks, because really you need the banks to be in a strong capital position, to put these deals together. And the banks are doing okay. The Dodd-Frank is messing things up a little bit, but no, we'll keep an eye on the sectors that he talked about, and the trends should be interesting to see. But Did we get through all the earnings with Matt? I know you were flying through a few. Do we want to go to the
We
upgrades, downgrades, or what are we doing
Well,
next?
let's go to quickly to the couple of the upgrades and downgrades here because we do have some key ones here this morning. Deutsche Bank getting very active here. They are upgrading both Microsoft this morning and Oracle here.
Hmm.
So let's take a look because we haven't looked at the charts of these two in a while here. Let's start with actually let's start with Oracle because we
Okay.
haven't looked at Oracle for a while. It's been on a pretty good run ever since they announced earnings. It's kind of like the gap and go, and it has been drifting higher here. It's consolidated though for the last month where we've just kind of been hanging out around 38. We are up 18 cents here on the Deutsche Bank upgrade here today. Do you think could be a catalyst to get Oracle going again?
Oh boy, I don't know here. Let's just take a look at the pre-market trading. Very little pre-market trading, in fact.
Yes.
Third couple prints around 38.20, so you can't put much on that. So let's go to the dailies and let's look at the only number you have. You had a minor resistance at 38.52. We haven't even been able to hit that level yet. And then also you have I don't think it's an all-time high, but you have the high at 38.77. So the upgrade is not getting a lot of follow through here. I'd keep an eye on those resistance points here. You know me, if I have a stock that I'm long and it's up and the spoos are down, you know which way I'm leaning on it.
You're always looking at the indicator for the SPOOs. So, I mean, but when stocks are upgraded, they often do go higher, even despite the market being down here. So, Oracle's all-time high, I don't have it, but I can remember back in the bubble, I think it was like up at $60 or something back in the tech bubble. So, if you go back to 2000, I believe it was quite a bit higher than this, but this is like a 10-year high, or at least close to it. When we hit the 38.77 there back on January 16th. I'm not sure if we're going to see that here today, but obviously, Deutsche Bank's a little bit bullish here. Oracle. They are also upgrading Microsoft, which we just mentioned here, and Microsoft is trading up 32 cents right now at 36 and a quarter. Consolidated for a couple days there, and then it was struggling up in this whole 36.80 area. That's a little ways away from here, but what's a chart saying? You got any closer levels than that, Joel?
Just a quick note: Oracle last traded up in this area back in October of 2000. So if you the high in October of 2000 was 41.06. So
14-year highs.
yeah, so you've been holding on to your Oracle here. You're getting some back. This Microsoft has been pretty quiet, with all the talk with Alan Mulally and everything and what he was going to do. That put some pressure on the stock. But every time it's sold off, it's really seemed to come back here. You really got to keep an eye. I mean, we're still a ways away from that $37 level. Major resistance there. Two highs at 36.82 and 73, then a high at 37. Haven't been able to sniff that here in the pre-market high at 36.30. So, once again, yesterday's high, we're opening into that 36.32. Use that as resistance. If it can clear the 36.32, you really have some clear, really not much resistance up until the 36.80 level.
Here's an interesting one. Salesforce.com getting downgraded at Deutsche Bank. Stock has been on a tear, closed at or near the all-time high again yesterday. The stock was up at 61.45, closed at 61.14. It has just been running straight up here. Deutsche Bank putting a little bit of pressure on the stock here this morning. It is trading down 80 cents right now on their downgrade.
Yeah, well, they're actually telling someone to take profits on something, huh? That's
Maybe they are.
that's interesting. Hit that high 61.45 yesterday. We pulled back the close at 61.14. We'll see what happens at yesterday's low. We're trading right at that level right now, a little bit below it, 60.50. But if they're in fact going to shake off this downgrade and continue back up to the 61 handle, really like it to see it get back and hold 60.50 off the open.
Getting an upgrade for Norfolk Southern NSC upgraded
Oh,
at Bank America, and I got to
Donna.
bring it up there yesterday too because
God.
I got you again on the bet. You now owe 3 Potbelly lunches, but regardless, I thought you were going to win that bet because I had 93, you had 91. I thought it trades 93 before it traded 91, and then in the pre-market it started trading under 91. It started trading 90 and a half after we made the bet, and I was like, oh boy, man, I'm going to lose this one for sure. And I was trying to wiggle my way out. You were trying to give me excuses to wiggle my way out, but the stock opens up and helped me out. It actually started popping right before opened up way up at 92.25 and then went straight up all the way up to 94.5. So another pot belly lunch for me.
I don't know why I let you do it based on the regular session. Is what I'm
I
thinking.
wasn't going to do it in the pre-market. Anything can happen in the pre-market. I mean, you could come in and sell 100 shares and knock it down a buck in the pre-market. There
What
was
did
no volume.
what
So
did
I'm
you?
not going to let you go in there. You knock that thing down, lose $100 just so you don't have to give me the pot belly lunch.
Oh boy! So they're coming in. They're upgrading it today, huh?
Yeah, they're upgrading. It's trading up 80 cents right now, 93.80, close at 92.94. It was a huge pop yesterday for the stock. Obviously, it consolidated and came back down 2 points off the high here, but it's up another dollar here again. I mean, resistance very well defined from yesterday, 94.74. So if we go up another dollar from here, it's probably going to be a few people willing to sell it that maybe were chasing it a bit yesterday.
Exactly. And 91.31. That was the low. I missed cashing out early by 31 cents there. So I'd use that as a minor support point. Just let it go, gap and go. But if it comes back down below 91.31 here, you could see some action on the downside to 89.74. But with the upgrade coming into play here, looks like you're more likely to see the challenge of the 94.75 high.
Dick's Sporting Goods getting downgraded
What
at
happened?
Morgan
What happened
Stanley.
here? We just dropped a good 5 points. Did some data point just come out here, Dennis? Did you see
Uh,
anything come
Brent
out?
is Brent's mic. Is he working there over? Or he's still out. We were having
Uh,
trouble with Brent's mic there, but
yeah, the Gremlins here. No, I mean, am I just making
I think we're
things
just
up?
drifting down. We're just
I thought it.
continuing to drift down here. We did have some stuff. U.S. initial jobless claims came out at 8:40, I believe, 326 versus 326. So that was kind of in line. Maybe that was putting a little bit of pressure there. But we are down here now 9.5 points. Obviously, that 1844 high, that whole 1840 area is still remaining major resistance. Couldn't get up over there overnight. And now we're drifting down here. And you know what? There was some reversals yesterday. You had Facebook. Let's just go to Facebook for a second here because that stock, we were looking at it. I was even chirping it. I was like, I think it's going to make a new all-time high, which it did barely. It got up to 59.31 yesterday, but then just turned around and reversed. So it opened fairly strong, ran up to 59.31, and then straight down. And an hour later, it was actually trading red and trading down a point. And then so it basically gave back $2. It's down another $1.43 here today. So Facebook, that's a key reversal for this and a failed breakout for that stock.
Oh wow! And did get up. Did you get suckered in there above
No, I
59?
didn't. I did not. I was looking at it and I was just hesitant. I wanted to see follow through and it didn't happen right away. The thing fell back down. I wish I would have actually shorted it. Sometimes when they break out and they make new highs and they come right back through and they're only up there for a few minutes, sometimes, that's going to be your indicator. Well, this might be a failed breakout. And then you could actually short it on the weakness because you get people that are caught buying that breakout. And that's why it's so vicious on the way down is everybody that bought the breakout traders are all caught long.
Right, and they are puking their guts out this morning
Oh, they
here.
are. Yeah.
50, but we are at an interesting level though here at after we were just hanging up there in the 58s. We had a low going back to the 17th at 56.07. Few sessions before that, you had a low at 56.10. You are trading there right now. You're trading at 56. So there are support here. It's 56.03 is the current pre-market low. Monster volume though, 2 million shares in Facebook. I wonder what's going on here. That's a big pre-market move here. So it needs the whole 56 here to get back into yesterday's range. You need to get up to 57.10 here. So it's going to be a ways to go to fill up to that gap. If in fact that 56 doesn't hold on, Facebook owners. You could be looking at $54. You had three lows right in the 54.20 to 30 area. So critical support level here for Facebook. Before we wrap up the show, though, we do have a couple questions coming out of the chat room, and I just want to get those covered before we go to Mighty Joe Young. Sarepta Therapeutics here. I had the good news on I can't remember what the drug was. Do you remember what it was, or what it for migraines or something like that? I can't remember what it
I
was.
don't. I have the goldfish memory. You
Okay,
know
yeah.
that with me. I've already forgot. But I'll go back to the mighty Benzinga Pro here and see what I see on the SRPT. Like it was upgraded at Needham. Like SRPT has just been popping here, but it really had the pop there. What was that date? Back on the 16th?
Yeah.
Was it
What
15th?
I don't like about this chart here is that you had the pop, and now you've
Yeah.
kind of had the stop. And so you got the gap and go. It rallied up. You made a new high for the move at 29.40, but now you had a kind of a tight range. Yesterday, not quite an inside day here, so it looks like the buyers are maybe getting a little bit exhausted here. 27.05 was yesterday's low. I think you got to look out below that because there's really not any major support until 26.15, and then after that you're getting into the whole gap area. So I mean, the longer it can hang in here, go back up, maybe get above that psychological $30 level, I'd like to see the
Yeah.
move to continue. It's just that when you see a big move up and then you see the stock start to consolidate and tire, that's what it looks like to me. And the other one is ARIA, and I know that's another kind of.
That's popping up on some headlines out of the UK. The UK Daily Mail reporting that area was approached by big pharma, including Eli Lilly. So that was a report out of the UK, and that's why you're seeing a pop here. I guess Lilly's maybe sniffing around here a little bit, and it is popping 10% here today on huge volume there. Obviously trading 5.8 million shares here. So we're up 10% on major volume on this area.
Yeah, 763 pre-market high. I remember when this stock was left for dead here. They had some failed trials or whatever, and I remember it was skimming around the bottom here at $2.
Couple bucks,
Yeah,
yeah.
had a nice move. Now, just to be aware of the highest level that this thing is traded at since making that low at the 2.25 area. It's been 775. We've hit 763 in the pre-market here. So keep an eye on that level. You break above that 775, and then you got this gap area going all the way up to 1648 low here. So interesting. The news is popping it, but it hasn't been able to take it yet through 775, which is the major resistance. So I think we covered everything in there. We got a great interview in with Matt Porzio of IntraLinks. And now we're going to shift gears a little bit over to Mighty Joe Young with the morning headlines.
IntraLinks, deal flow indicator. IntraLinks is the company that Matt Porzio is a part of, not Intradeal Links. Just so everyone knows, at IntraLinks is their Twitter handle. Full disclosure. Moving into today's editorial headlines from around the globe. Carl Icahn boosted his stake in Apple to $3 billion, adding to one of his biggest holdings as he continues to push the iPhone maker to buy back more stock. Icahn said he purchased $500 million worth of shares in the past 2 weeks in one of 3 Twitter messages on Wednesday. He called the additional investment a no-brainer and said an in-depth letter is coming soon on the company's need to repurchase more shares. There's nothing wrong with the management of Apple, Icahn said on Wednesday in a Bloomberg television interview with Trish Reagan. I just think that the board is playing wrong and not taking advantage of a very undervalued situation at Apple and is not using that capital. Fiat CEO Sergio Marchionne plans to propose the carmaker's board that the New York Stock Exchange be the primary market for shares of the company created from a merger with Chrysler Group, people familiar with the matter said. At a board meeting next week, Marchionne is due to recommend making Milan as the secondary listing, said the people who asked not to be identified because the discussions are private. The CEO of both Fiat and Chrysler Group also aims to have a fiscal domicile in the UK for tax purposes, while the headquarters could be located elsewhere. Fiat, which gained full control of Chrysler earlier this week after buying the remaining 41.5% holdings, intends to decide on details of a merger on January 29th. Marchionne has run Chrysler since it emerged from a U.S. government-backed bankruptcy restructuring in 2009. Fiat declined to comment on integration plans ahead of the meeting. Verizon, publishing its first annual report on law enforcement requests for customer information, said inquiries from the U.S. federal, state, and local authorities topped 320,000 last year. Of the requests for customer data, more than 164,000 were subpoenas and almost 71,000 were court orders, New York-based Verizon said in the report. Most of the inquiries pertain to customers rather than corporate customers. The total climbed from 2012, the company said, without providing a specific figure for that year. The report follows an uproar set off by the leaks of former National Security Agency contractor Edward Snowden, who sparked an international debate about privacy and the reach of government in the post-September 11th world. Verizon announced last year that it would start publishing the number of requests it receives in an effort to boost transparency. Verizon's numbers suggest that agencies still lean more heavily on phone service providers than internet companies for information. Google, operator of the world's largest search engine, received fewer than 11,000 requests for user data from the U.S. government in the first 6 months of 2013. President Barack Obama's personal ratings are up, but his job performance numbers remain below 50%, says a new Associated Press GFK poll. Or, as the Associated Press put it, nice guy, so-so president. The poll says that 58% believe Obama to be very or somewhat likable, up 9 percentage points since the end of the government shutdown in October. Obama's approval rating, meanwhile, remains at 45%, with 53% disapproving. According to a source who recently spoke with one of the heads of Google Wallet, Sridhar Ramaswamy, I'm pretty sure that's close. The company would be working on adding Bitcoin to its payment system. The source suggested Google is gauging interest in the cryptocurrency. According to a Reddit post, the Google Vice President of Product Management Ariel Barden asked them to pose a question on Google Moderator asking, "What would I want Google to do with Bitcoin?" The question currently has 223 votes and counting. This goes to show that while traditional financial institutions may be reluctant to adapt to Bitcoin, tech behemoths like Google have no problem incorporating the growing digital technology. The user says he or she emailed Vic Gundotra, the Google Senior Vice President in charge of social. Gundotra replied saying the company was paying attention to Bitcoin and carbon copied Ramaswamy, who opened up dialogue with the user. Investors got their first view of what Nokia would look like without the handset business it is selling to Microsoft, and they were not impressed. Nokia announced on Thursday a loss in fourth quarter of 25 million euros or $34 million compared with a profit of 193 million euros in the same quarter a year earlier. The company's revenue fell 21% to about 3.5 billion euro over the quarter. Both figures were adjusted to exclude sales from the handset unit. The company, which will retain its mobile infrastructure mapping and intellectual property units after the $7.4 billion sale is completed this quarter, said sales across the three divisions fell in the quarter that ended December 31st. That included a reduction in investment by some of the world's largest carriers and infrastructure equipment used in high-speed mobile networks. Nokia said that sales in its devices and services business, which includes the company's handset unit, fell 29% to 2.6 billion euro in the fourth quarter. The unit also reported a 201 million euro operating loss in the same period. Playtex is recalling 1.4 million pacifier holders because of concerns that a small child could choke if a part of the clip broke off. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission said Wednesday that the clips used to connect a pacifier to clothing, diaper bags, or strollers can crack and a small part can break off. Playtex has received 99 reports of the holder cracking or breaking. No injuries have been reported. Playtex is recalling 1.25 million clips in the U.S. and 150,000 in Canada. They were sold from 2010 through October 2013 for about $3 at major retailers including Target, Walmart, and online at Amazon. TiVo has been bullish lately about releasing new software products beyond its core DVR boxes. The company laid off nearly all the industrial designers of those products. According to two sources within TiVo, most of the hardware team has been let go. So far, that's 5 employees. A skeleton crew of 2 engineers has been retained to handle support for current and upcoming third-party devices. The sources told Wired that TiVo is getting out of the hardware business altogether and making a big direction change. In May 2013, Executive Vice President and General Manager of Products and Revenue Jeff Klugman told Wired software is the future of TiVo. The company's Vice President of Corporate Communications told Wired via email, "We continue to balance appropriate levels of staffing and expertise necessary to support our existing hardware business. There's no doubt that we expect a growth in the cloud-based delivery aspects of TiVo's business." Virtual reality headset Oculus Rift is being used by scientists and artists to see what it would be like to live in the body of someone else. Be Another Lab have called their project The Machine to Be Another, which they claim will allow them to explore the nature of who we are. It works like so. Two people each wear an Oculus Rift headset while in two separate identical rooms. Each participant will then be able to see what the other is seeing and can even look down at the other person's body. More than individuals, we are part of a social collective called Humanity, explains the group on its official website.
That sounds freaky, man.
Doesn't it?
that like, is that a movie or something? Wasn't there some kind of movie like that? Which one? Yeah.
Surrogate.
Whoa, man.
Oh.
This is weird.
I was thinking more like Demolition Man when Sylvester Stallone and Sandra Bullock both put on the headsets to,
Yeah.
do it, but they don't actually do it. It's just a whole mental chemical thing.
Oh wow. Yeah. Woo. Freaky, man.
Never could figure out what the seashells were for. On this day, today's trivia tidbit, on this day 30 years ago, Hulk Hogan becomes the first wrestler to escape the camel clutch, the signature move of reigning World Wrestling Federation champion Iron Sheik as he defeats Sheik to win his first WWF title at Madison Square Garden in New York City. The victory kick-started the Hulkamania craze, boosting pro wrestling into the sports and entertainment spotlight. The company grew from a regional Northeast promotion into a global phenomenon, trading on the NYSE since 1999 and finished 2013 with $660 million in revenue. And today's trivia question: what celebrity did Hogan team up with at the inaugural WrestleMania event? Does anyone, all you wrestling fans out there, what celebrity did Hulk Hogan team up with in the inaugural WrestleMania event? Does anyone know?
It wasn't the Sheik, right?
Well, celebrity. So I think
Oh.
this is outside of the WWF.
Well, Lou Ferrigno was the Incredible Hulk. But I guess I'll go with that. I guess.
It's a good guess. It's a good guess. Let's see if anyone in the chat has a response.
This
So
is special 2-week free trial of Benzinga Pro.
that's right. That's right. And actually, when I was a kid, we would watch wrestling. Wasn't a huge fan, but my brother and I had these like pillow dolls of Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage, which now my nephew plays with. And they're probably collector's items, but we let them trash them anyways. No one in the chat has a guess here. Do.
Too
No?
busy trading options.
I guess so. In any case, the answer is Mr. T.
Oh,
Mr. T, whose famous A-Team series debuted on this day in 1983. It all comes full circle, everybody. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that the show would not be possible without our dear friends at OptionsHouse, who will give you 150 commission-free trades just for signing up for an account through this page. There's buttons at the top, at the bottom right. Go ahead, make some clickies, and open an account through OptionsHouse. Get 150 commission-free trades just because you listen to Benzinga's pre-market info. And before Brent chimes in here, for clarification, that's 150 commission-free trades, not 15.
I pity the fool. I pity the fool.
I pity the fool who doesn't sign up for an account through OptionsHouse and gets these free trades.
They're a good one, man. Joe is on a roll today. I guess when Joe's in a good mood, everybody's in a good mood. And then, unless Drew comes over, and then they get in a really...
Unless
big-
Drew
Yeah.
Stormcloud Cohee comes over and ruins everything.
Yeah.
Our glorious customer service representative. And you know what? All of this just from instant coffee. I haven't had real coffee, and it feels like months now, but it's only been a few days. So I'm going to hand it over to my man, Brent Macho Man Slava Sandwich, and he's going to take it from here with... We already did rating changes, right?
Yeah, he's going to make some stuff up.
He's going to make some... Brent is going to make some stuff up for all you Options House peeps.
Okay, just looking at this WWE stock here. I mean, this thing has been on a nice run as of late here. So funny that we mentioned that on the show. But let's just talk about it in case anybody's trading it. It's had a nice run up here from the $16 level. We've moved up here, made a 20.47 high. So trading above that right now. This is the highest the issue is traded at in quite some time. I think you need to go to the... Oh, boy, even the monthlies here don't do any good for this thing. Wow, is this an all-time high for the thing? Holy mackerel.
Holy moly.
Okay, so what you got for me, Slava man?
Let's see. I'm not sure. How do I sound? I'm putting Joe's headset on over here. He's got a different size head than I do.
He's
So
got a huge head,
he's
man.
got a big head. I didn't want to say it, but he's got a big brain. He's claiming. So do I sound okay, Joe?
You do, man. You sound wonderful.
All right. So as everyone knows, earnings are just flying off the shelf right now. A ton of earnings this week. But next week is kind of really where things start getting heated up. So I'm just gonna sort of go over a quick earnings preview. Heads up for
You're good.
what? Okay. We do have. Let me start with tomorrow, and then I'll go into next week. This is just a quick heads up for everyone that's trading earnings out there. Tomorrow, that is Friday, we're gonna get Xerox earnings. We are gonna get Stanley Works Black and Decker. Also gonna get State Street, Procter and Gamble, Kimberly Clark, Honeywell, and Bristol Myers all tomorrow. And then moving on to next week, everyone buckle in, grab your popcorn. Here we go. It's a very long list, but I think everyone needs to know. Everyone that wants to trade these earnings, little heads up here. On Monday of next week, we're gonna get Caterpillar earnings. We are going to get, after the close on Monday, we're going to get Apple earnings, we're going to get Seagate earnings, and also U.S. Steel, that is ticker X. On Tuesday, we're going to get earnings. Staying in the steel sector, we're going to get earnings out of AK Steel. Also going to get our first home builder, D.R. Horton. Comcast, also reporting on Tuesday of next week. DuPont, Amgen, AT&T, Ford, Electronic Arts, VMware, and Yahoo all out on Tuesday of next week. Moving on to Wednesday, Biogen, Valero, WellPoint, Citrix. We are going to get Las Vegas Sands earnings. That is going to be our first casino and gaming earnings report of this earnings season. Also going to get earnings out of Qualcomm, and the highlight of the day, definitely Facebook. That's going to be after the close on Wednesday. We'll get some quarterly figures from Facebook. On Thursday of next week, 3M, Altria, another home builder, Beazer Homes. Also following up with Valero on Wednesday, we're going to get ConocoPhillips on Thursday. Eli Lilly also be on Thursday. ExxonMobil, Harley Davidson, and where's Erica at? Erica's stock here. Hershey reporting results on Thursday. L3, that is, L3 Communications, also going to get Potash. Pulte Homes, Ryland Homes, Under Armour, UPS, and Visa all on Thursday of next week. Holy cow, I have more. I have a longer list, actually. My Thursday list didn't end. Whirlpool will be on Thursday, and then moving into the big tech name, we're going to get Riverbed. We are going to get results out of Amazon and Google, both on Thursday. Also going to get Broadcom results, and Chipotle, CMG results on Thursday. Friday of next week, results out from AbbVie, Chevron, MasterCard, and Tyson Foods. So let's see. I just gave you folks out there about 30 or 40 earnings to look out for next week, and there are just a ton more that I didn't go over. We are definitely in the heart of the earnings season. The news desk is going to be kicking.
How do you feel the earnings overall so far for the year? I mean, or for this quarter here? Pretty good?
Let's see. I think that for the most part, if I'm just sort of thinking off the top of my head, I think that the bottom line numbers have been beating more than missing, but the sales figures have kind of been sort of in line to missing more often. So you can take whatever you want from that, but to me, it's kind of like maybe a bit of sort of financial engineering, accounting that's going in there that is helping translate to that bottom line. So, I definitely will be watching the big tech space coming up here next week. I think that's going to be a great indication as to how sort of the rest of the earnings season is going to play out.
Okay. All right, Brent.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No
here.
problem at all.
Maybe you and Shaky Jake can switch seats here. And
That's what we're going to have to do.
Yep, and we can get to the movers here. S&Ps, I don't know what's going on here. We got a slow leak going on today so far. We're down 9 points. Is this going to be the day that the market finally caves? I don't know. It seems to always battle back from these lower opens here. But if you're looking at it in the context of the daily charts, we have taken out yesterday's low. But I got a good level for you on the downside, folks. On Monday, or now Monday because we were all Martin Luther King Day. On Tuesday, we hit 1826 and a quarter. So far, the spike down this morning has taken us to 1826.50. So there you go. You got a potential double bottom there, support point. See if we can take it back down there during the regular session. If that is taken out, then we are officially have seen the top, and we're going down to 1800. If we can battle back into the 1830 handle, we're 5 points away from yesterday's low at 1834.75. So, like to see us really get back over 1835 to construe this as a positive day in the market.
Well, Joel, looks like I've managed to pop onto the show here. I guess your Wolverines came out with a good victory last night.
Yeah, and that was with two guys on the bench with the flu. Spike, Derek Walton was out with the flu. John Horford and Spike Albrecht. I heard an interesting stat on him. He has not had a turnover yet in the Big Ten season yet. Is that pretty amazing?
Well, he hasn't been starting though, so
well, he's been playing quite.
Has he been playing?
He has for the year. He has 47 assists and 9 turnovers for the year. So
wow.
We got the big showdown on Saturday.
Yeah, for sure. Both teams going in undefeated. That guy, his last name was White. I can't remember what his first name was. That post that they had, Iowa had. That guy was just, he was
man-child.
Yeah, he was killing it towards the end of the game. He had 20 points in the second half or something like that. It was insane.
Yeah, he did. But they pulled out the victory. So back to the markets
yes,
here.
Sir.
What do you got for me?
Well, I think I'll just start kind of with some of the earnings reports this morning. We did have some big names. I think we have more coming after the close today, but I want to kind of start off with McDonald's here. Mike, Charlie, Delta, for anyone on their own charts there. EPS came in at $1.40 versus $1.39 expected. Revenues coming in at $7.09 billion versus the expected $7.11 billion. So this one's been following that trend of kind of a weak top line number and a small to moderate beat on the bottom line. So looks like the accountants, in my opinion, are winning once again, keeping themselves in jobs. Trading down a little bit this morning. I guess it's down 34 cents, nothing too crazy. Closed at 94.88 yesterday. Any thoughts on this one, Joel? I mean, it's just can't seem to get anywhere near that $100 level.
This thing's been between 90 and 100, I think, for ever. Just shorter term here, when the news hit on the earnings, went down to 93.22, and Dennis had mentioned that there was a bunch of lows at that area back in October, so it did recover from that. Pop back to the close, so I'm using the close as a very important number here. We're 22 cents away from it, 94.88. Actually, if you look at it, the last 3 closes in Mickey D's have been between 94.88 and 95.06. So let's bump it up. 95 is the number. I'm using that as major resistance. It doesn't break above 95. I think we'll come back down perhaps to the lower 94s. Not sure if we're going to get to that 93.40 low though.
Another one we had reporting this morning was Nokia, which I think is kind of interesting that they report today with Microsoft reporting after the close. Both the companies, focusing in on each other pretty closely. Nokia reported an EPS of 8 cents, so not so hot there. But see what the shares are doing. November Oscar Kilo for anyone following along on their own charts. If you remember, Microsoft did acquire the mobility unit. Nokia is trading down 5.8% this morning. Possibly going to go test that $7 level, it would almost seem. Joel, any thoughts on the Nokia here?
Yeah, they're not liking the numbers out of Nokia. We just made a 714 low. Really not getting much of a bounce off that level. Had the big run up from 720 to 820. Now you're giving it all back here. I'll look at looking at the charts here. Boy, it's been a while since Nokia has traded this low here. Major support, I would say, would come in under the $7 level at 672. We'll see what happens though at the pre-market low off the opening bell.
Now, here's another way that's great to gauge how the economy is doing is if you kind of look into the transports. I mean, obviously you've got UPS and FedEx, but you also can look at the major rail lines like Union Pacific, who reported this morning EPS came in at 255 versus expected 249, while revenues came in at 5.63 billion versus expected 5.57 billion. So that's a beat on the top and bottom line. Both of them are over a 1% beat for a company that's not a really incredibly fast grower here. This is a company that's really benefited from that shale gas I guess revolution, if you want to call that or whatever, in the United States, because all that gets shipped by rail primarily and not by truck. So Union Pacific, one of the primary companies to benefit from that. That's Uniform November, Papa, for anyone following it along on their own charts there. Company didn't give us any guidance, but we are on the lookout for that. Just kind of hop over and see how the shares are doing here. Joel, any thoughts on Union Pacific? Major transport here.
Yeah, well, you had the NSC, report good numbers here. So if you were playing the trend in the sector here, you may have been able to catch this trade. Looking at the pre-market trading, initial spike took it up to 173.10. Since hitting that 173.10, you are finding support just under 170 at 169.90. So you don't. If you look at what that NSC did yesterday here, you might want to stay out in front of this freight train here because it seems to be moving north.
Did have another group of companies reporting this morning. A lot of those were the airlines. So I guess I'll get started with Southwest. The ticker there is Lima Uniform Victor. Company reported EPS of 33 cents versus expected 29 cents. So a beat there. While revenues came in at 4.43 billion versus expected 4.39 billion. So I guess all those bag fees and various nickel and diming strategies that some of these companies are doing are kind of working out. Southwest trading up 1.7%. Broke above that $22 level. Joel, any thoughts on Southwest before I hop into any of the other airlines here?
22.70 here. We just hit that in the 9 o'clock hour. That's probably when the news hit the tape. Have fallen back, though, to 21.97. So that initial pop here, people have used to take profits. That 22.70, way above the recent high at 21.98. Had a high at 21.80 yesterday's trading. So if it's going to break out, continue to move higher, it really needs to hold 22 off the hop.
Now, while Southwest reported a beat on the top and bottom line, United Airlines came in with a strong beat on the bottom line, 78 cents versus 65-cent estimate, and actually they beat on the top line as well, 9.33 billion versus expected 9.28 billion. Shares are trading down this morning, though. That's Uniform Alpha Lima. Gotta kind of keep an eye on this one. We'll be trading down about almost 3% here. Looks like maybe with that beat they could break above that $50 level, which is a pretty big, psychological level there. Joel, what do you think of United then?
It actually did pop up over 50 earlier this morning. Got to 50 and a quarter. Didn't trade a lot of volume there. Quickly reversed course and made a 47.31 low. We are starting to recover off that. Perhaps investors are thinking it can't get any better than this. 49.20 was the high from yesterday, so we can rally back another $1.30. That will come into play. Is that it's been the high during the regular session. Coming back on the downside, kind of trading all yesterday's range here. 47.87 was the low from yesterday, so it is opening into support. Did trade lower in the pre-market, so if that low doesn't hold, we could be looking at 47.31.
Now, if we're looking at some of the smaller airlines, the more specialized ones, Alaska Air Group also reported this morning EPS coming in at $1.10 versus expected $1.04. Now, I'm not seeing any action this morning in it yet, so perhaps this could be an interesting play. You've got kind of a mix from the two big names that have reported so far today and a beat on the bottom line here. Joel, any thoughts on Alaska Airlines since we haven't had a whole lot of action before the open?
What's the symbol?
ALK, Alpha Lima Kilo, for anyone following along on their own charts there. Smaller version here. I guess it's about almost a $5.7 billion market cap here. So large, a fairly large airline, but small enough that it doesn't exactly, I guess, trade a whole lot before the market open.
They pretty much have a monopoly out there, right? Though, And then,
Yeah, well, I
and
mean,
they're,
I guess they're not just Alaska. They're in some other areas too. They're kind of breaking in. They follow kind of the low cost or smaller carrier model. They're definitely not one of the giants like Southwest or United or the New American, but they're getting up there.
you hit an all time high yesterday, 81.94. Closed right up there. They're not liking what they're seeing in the numbers here. Did sell off here, trading down 87 cents. Pretty much, I mean, if it gets back up and challenges that 81.94 level, perhaps there's a seller kicking around at 82. So we'll keep an eye on that. Below 80, it's just not a lot in there to lean on. The 79.29 low that you had from Tuesday come into play. But what I really like about this chart here is you had what 5 days in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row. You had highs right at that 79, 65, 69 level. Did the following day you did break that old resistance? It became new support. It came to be a good number. So as long as it holds that 79.50 level, I think I would play it from the long side. If it came back down and broke down to that former resistance here, I could be looking at the 78s, perhaps the low 77s.
The one I want to take a look at while we're on the airlines real quick before we move off the sector is American Airlines. And I just mentioned that that's Alpha Lima. That's the other big name in the sector. They're trading down almost 1.5% today. It looks like they may be eyeing that $30 level. Company reports next week on the 28th. So something to keep in mind that we are going to be getting a report from them soon. But it's kind of interesting because we get a big lead here. We get two of the major conglomerate airlines and some of the smaller ones reporting before we see Americans report. So you could almost use that as a lead. Looks like traders are thinking that American is not going to do so hot with kind of the mixed report today.
Right, it is trading right at yesterday's low. Yesterday's low, 30.65. We just hit 30.62. So on a minor support point, see if we can hold that level. If not, you have a ways to go down to the lower 30s here. You had a low at 30.20. So holding up here, trying to hold the low from yesterday's trading. If not, 30.20, and then things really drop into the 29s after that. Coming back on the upside, if you can crawl back into the 31 handle. 31.20 was the close from yesterday. I'm not sure with the merger and everything if that's an all-time high close because they merged the U.S. Air stock, right? And they made it AAL. So, but that's what the charts are telling me. Needs to hold 30.65.
All right. Well, I mean, if we want to talk about some other news drivers, yesterday I think it was Uncle Carl really running the show, announcing on Twitter that he's going to be bumping up his stake in, or he bumped up his stake in Apple and is considering going even higher. I guess was it $3 billion now is what Carl Icahn's in there for. Going on to CNBC at lunch, going back and forth with Scott Wapner, and eventually saying that refusing to confirm that he was in Hertz, but hinting that he wasn't, and then hinting that he was. So, more.
There's got to be something going on in the market here, Brent. I mean, we're just completely falling out of bed here. We've already taken out the pre-market low. The SPOOs are down 13 points here. Is there something going on that I don't know about here? This is a really big move here. But we'll have Brent scramble. No, sorry about that, Jay.
No worries. Yeah.
Apple. What I noticed about Apple yesterday was when Uncle Carl was talking, they weren't loving it. I mean, they kept on popping it up, and Apple had already set the intraday high of 557.29, and that was only 50 cents away from the January 16th high of 56.85. And they tried to run it a couple times when he was speaking, and they couldn't, and fell back and closed, well off the high of the day, 551.51. Looks like Apple's still stuck into this 530 to 560 trading range. People backed off the 560 yesterday, came back down to 557. So I'm just looking at this thing to drift between 530 and 560. I mean, we got numbers coming out on it, right? You got earnings coming out on it soon. So
next week.
That will be the killer. That will be the determination of what the next move in this stock is going to be. DJ's talking about these Chinese stocks, which are always good
Oh
for you.
my.
Oh boy, oh boy. Chinese stocks getting hit pre-market on news. SEC accuses China authorities of withholding documents.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. That ain't good. That
No.
ain't good. And man, they're crushing this market. Holy smokes! Is this gonna be like Black Thursday or what?
We
What
got you
the?
got to wonder maybe I guess those SEC allegations, I mean if you're going after if that's hitting any of the Chinese stocks, that's not a huge portion of the market cap of the S&P 500, but you're going to have a couple of names falling, but this, maybe it's fears that this could create kind of a trade dispute maybe?
Oh,
Because I mean,
Jake with the global trade war coming on Benzinga's pre-market info.
I mean, there could be a little retaliation. Who knows? Maybe some deal that gets shut out or something like that. I mean, I guess the China Mobile deal finally went through, so I guess that's not going to get shut out. But something along those lines that maybe would get knocked back because of as kind of a punitive comeback towards the SEC. I don't know.
Okay, I mean that's good analysis there. I mean you also mentioned some things that were coming out of the Middle East here, right?
Yeah, there are the Syria talks going on right now, and you do have Davos going on too. So you actually have a lot of like major macro things kind of moving. When you've got Davos and you've got all the major world leaders and money managers there, somebody gets an offhand comment there or whatever, you might get some action off that. But you do have was it John Kerry just arrived at Davos today. He's going to be giving a big speech there. The Syria talks are going on right now. We opened up the talks by immediately calling for the removal of Bashar al-Assad, which, while yes, that's our goal, when you come in with that kind of strength, that may have scared the market a little bit. People thinking, maybe this isn't going to end this conflict. So I don't know. It could be a combination of many things, or maybe I just completely missed something.
And also you got the the Olympics coming up.
Oh
And
yeah.
I know there's a lot of worry about there's I guess a couple suicide bombers
Yep.
floating around Sochi and stuff. So I mean the political unrest, that's something that also could hit the
And then
market.
you also have it's Ukraine right now is where they're having the big revolts. Right, it's where it is, and because they decided to do a deal with Russia instead of the EU, and they're having mass protests right now, and they're about to shut down the internet and SMS systems over there, because they're trying to keep protesters from being able to communicate. So, I don't know. I guess there's a lot of unrest out there that you could point towards, but I don't see that there's a lot more than there was yesterday or the day before.
We could also, I mean, another key indicator here when you get this kind of unrest and everything is the gold market, and gold is now up $17.50 here. So little flight to quality here in the gold market as the S&Ps are selling off hard. Dennis is just seeing selling across the board. Everything is red. Let's just go back because we had a pretty in-depth discussion on Netflix here, and
Another holding of Uncle Carl.
yeah, and Joanne, I think, might have had the best call of anybody. She came in with the 360 calls. She was taking a flyer on the issue, looking for some good earnings, and we are down. We sold 10 points off the open at 387.50. Was the open. It held. That was the low in the pre-market when it had the range between 387, and then someone just had a sell order in at 394, and they were not going to let that thing get through 394 here. So, but it did open up, and it did quickly drop another roughly 10 points here. So if you guys are playing this Netflix here, I'd call this 382 level. That's just about halfway in between the high and low of the day. If in fact it could get back above 382 and change, you might go back up to that 388 level here. Below 377, good luck trying to find support in this thing. You need to go down to 334.44 to fill the gap here. So let's just take a quick look at some of these Chinese stocks for DJ. NQ, which has been having a slow recovery from the muddy waters bashing. We never did get to call them yesterday and find out if they were out of their short yet. But NQ Mobile is getting hit on this. Taking a look at the issue, it did gap down, made a 1650 low, trying to recover here. really no major support if the sell-off continues in this until under $16 at the 15.50 level. On a rebound here, I need to get back 17.16 to fill the gap. So I imagine sellers be lining up at 17. Let's see what else is there, Jake, for Chinese stocks. Baidu.
Yeah, you could go with that. I mean, we could even try and go for some like the Chinese solars, like TSL, Trina Solar, I believe is one of the major Chinese ones there. That could be something to take a look at. Yeah, I mean, it got beat up pretty bad. It's down 8.7% right now.
Right. I'm just trying my charts, just trying to, yeah, and that's coming in on the Trina Solar's coming in as some support here that better hold, or it's going to be a really bad day for it here. $24 $15 was the low. Hit 1502. You hit 1504 on January 13th. So critical support here at 15 for Trina Solar here. S&P is continuing to spike lower and trying to recover here. 24 and a quarter low. This is already a 20-point range in the SPOOs already in the session. That's been exceeding right there. That's the average daily range for the issue going back. So need to regain some footing here, or else this is going to be a really bad day for the market. Minor support at 12.17 and a quarter. That was a low, but you need to get all the way back down to to this 1809.50 level in order to find major support. There has to be something coming out to have this kind of a precipitous drop in the markets. We'll have Brent continuing to dig in the wires, but we are down across the board here. All the big components in the S&P are just getting slammed. ExxonMobil off 86 cents. Microsoft down 20 cents despite the upgrade here. So, Jake, what else is there any beacon of good news in this market here? 1823 low here. That's a market meltdown.
I mean, you've got Netflix, eBay, those are both moving to the upside, as is Valero. Have you guys gone over that one yet? They bumped guidance and increased the dividend. We had, I guess we've got a couple other names moving to the upside. Netflix, eBay, but you also had Valero. I don't know if you guys have gone over Valero yet. Victor Lima, Oscar. Company bumped its dividend after the close yesterday from 22.5 cents to 25 cents a share and sent its fourth quarter guidance through the roof. The street was looking for around 90 cents, and they're guiding between $1.60 and $1.80. So, I mean, just basically they said, Street's looking for under $1. We're going to basically double that. Valero really, some impressive news there. But Raymond James, I believe is who it was, downgraded it from strong buy to an outperform this morning. So, kind of peculiar there. I don't know if they're just saying take some money off the table or what. But, good news from Valero.
Right, major spike here in the pre-market over the $53 level. Looks like you got almost a $53.50, and then the downgrade hit the issue. Got it down to 51. Now starting to recover here. So see if you can hold that early morning low of 51. Taking a look at it on the dailies here. 52 is the number, folks. 51.97 was your high on Tuesday. 52 even yesterday. So now they're 50 cents away here from some major resistance.
I'm looking at some of the other. I'm just trying to kind of zoom out onto the macro side to see if I can catch anything here. Manufacturing PMI, came in at 53.7 versus expected 55. So that's not so hot. The November 2013 U.S. monthly home prices came in at 7.6% versus 8.2%. So that's two economic indicators coming in on the low side. We're also getting some headlines out of Greece talking about the troika once again. And I mean, as we know, anything that involves Greece and the ECB can really make some waves. So it looks like there may be just some more unrest about that. But that's what I'm seeing right now on the macro side. I just wanted to give a quick update on what I found so far. As far as the market falling across the board, we do have another name actually falling specifically in the pre-market, and that's American Eagle Outfitters, one of those teen retailers, Alpha, Echo, Oscar. Company announced that they're going to be bringing in an interim CEO. Now, the guy was CEO from 1992 to 2002. And now I guess he was chairman of the board, and now he's going to be serving as interim CEO. But there seems to be a lot of doubt from some analysts on this one that this might be a kind of a bumpy transition. All these teen retailers have really been just getting beat down recently. And American Eagle's really taking it on the chin this morning. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, Street was leaning the right way here. It's came off to the 1550 area hard, made some lows. Looked like it was trying to find support here at 1427, 1422. Gapped it down here, took it down to 1305. I guess you just gotta be kind of hands off here until it can get back through that open 13 and a quarter to 1331. Then you got a gap to fill all the way up to 1422. Interesting if you're looking at these charts a little bit longer term here for AEO. Major support here where we're hitting in this $13 level. 13.14 and 13.21 were a couple lows that you had back at the end of October here. So see if some shorts want to bring it in here at the $13 level.
Again, I'm backing out to macro. There's a piece that said Iran's presence could be weighing on crude prices. That's their presence at Davos. We had some comments from Jamie Dimon this morning saying the government cases were unfair, but that's more on the macro side.
Mm-hmm.
We do have the U.S. dollar Japanese yen pair coming down quite a bit this morning, which could really hurt some of the more risk-prone U.S. names. And the euro U.S. dollar pair is on the rise, as is crude oil and gold. Index is still moving to the downside here. So I'm still trying to figure out what that specific headline is, but you've got it's market wide. It's not a singularity event here just in the S&P. It's following the trend of the U.S. markets pulling back all out.
Yeah, it was really some really rare activity today in the markets here. Appear to stabilize. We've hit this 1823 low here, starting to climb back. Already had a 21-point range if you include the pre-market high here. So pretty big range. Looks like it's trying to climb its way back up into the 1830 handle. Probably use that pre-market or the regular session high 1830. We bust that out, and everything's okay, and we'll just drift back up into the mid 1830s again, and take another look at that 1844 level. You have very well defined resistance on the upside. The support's kind of spotty because of those spikes that you had down to 0950 and 1275. Well, I hope we've covered all the issues of interest for people in the Options House chat room. Thank you. Have a good trading day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.